Alright, Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Shemel Shah, double honor to the Apostle GMS, and Shalom to you brothers out there. My name is Anwar Allah, coming at you once again with another video. I don't have a topic for this video, I'm just going to go on the spirit. Whatever scripture spirit had me go to, I'm just going to go into it. I'm just going to open it up. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go to Proverbs chapter 10, verse 14. Wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. Right. The wise men layeth up knowledge. Now, spirit can be a scripture. When you laying something up, you're storing something, like how you store riches. Alright? So the wise man layeth up knowledge. So it's knowledge that the wise man has. Right? It's knowledge that the wise man has, and he's laying it up like a treasure. Because wisdom is likened, or knowledge is likened unto a treasure. Wisdom of the Lord, knowledge of the Lord. This is in Romans chapter 11, verse 33. It says, "Oh, the depth of riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out." So the depth of riches. So, oh, the depth of riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High. So the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High, look at that as what? Riches. The depth of riches. Because you have riches, like gold and silver, and many other types of precious stones. But then you have the depth of riches. In other words, the deepest of riches. And when you think about it, when you get gold and you get silver, what do? You dig deep into the earth. But the wisdom and knowledge of the Lord is known as the depth of riches, because this is a deeper type of riches. They aren't the riches that you just dig for on the earth, or I found silver, or I found gold. It's a depth when it comes to searching for the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Lord. That's deeper than that of gold, deeper than that of silver. It's comparing the wisdom, knowledge of the Lord to that of digging deep for gold and silver. You can't. If you want to dig deep for gold and silver, the depth of riches of the Lord is a dig that you got to dig even deeper for. It's located in the area you got to dig deeper for, which is not physically in the earth. Okay? That knowledge is what? Knowledge of the Lord. So that's the depth of riches. So it says, "Oh, the depth of riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High. How unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out." Right, how unsearchable are his judgments, and his ways past finding out. Once again, it's comparing it to riches that's dug deep underground, that you search for. But the wisdom and knowledge of the Lord is unsearchable. You don't dig deep into the ground for the knowledge of the Lord. You don't find the knowledge of the Lord by digging deep into the ground. The Heavenly Father imparts that wisdom unto you. It's not something that you could just get. You get it from the Lord. Okay? That's why you got this scripture right here in Matthew. See if I can find this scripture real quick. If I'm going to Luke, it might be Matthew 11:25. Yep, Matthew 11:25. "At that time, Yahweh Shai answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes." Right, because the Most High hid it from them. He hid it from the wise, and he hid it from the prudent. But he revealed it unto babes. So the wisdom and knowledge of the Lord is unsearchable, and his ways are past finding out, because it's not something that you find on your own. The Most High can hide it from you, and he can reveal it to you. It's not something that you can find on your own. He reveals it to those who he chooses to reveal it to. Okay? That's the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Most High. Going back to Proverbs 10 and 14, it says, "Wise men lay up knowledge." Let's deal with that again. Wise men lay up knowledge. Look at Matthew the 6th chapter. Matthew 6 and 19. "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth." See how it all comes full circle? First we went to Proverbs 10 and 14, where it says the wise man layeth up knowledge. Then you go to Romans 11:33, where it tells you, "Oh, the depth of riches, both the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High, and how unsearchable are his ways." How unsearchable are his ways, knowledge, and his ways past finding out. I may not be quoting the verbatim meaning word for word, but you understand what I'm saying. So the depth of riches of the knowledge of the Lord is deeper than that of the depth of gold and silver. So deep that you can never, that's unsearchable. So deep that you can never find it out. You can't find it out because the Lord can hide it from you. That's why when we went to Matthew 11:25, it says he hid these things from the wise and prudent. You can't find it, and you can't search it and find it out because he has to reveal it unto you. It's not something that you can just go look for yourself. The Lord got to put that spirit on you to be able to receive that knowledge. You can read the Bible all day and never understand anything. And now here it's saying, Matthew 6:19, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, like gold and silver, where moth and rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. Because thief can break through and steal that gold and silver. Moth can corrupt that silk. Okay? Rust can corrupt those metals like gold and silver. Okay? Silk is a rich fabric. Okay? It's expensive. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Remember it said the wise man layeth up knowledge? Lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven. You lay up treasures in heaven by the righteous acts that you do on the earth. That's why the scriptures tell you everything that a man doeth, not according verbatim, is going to be given account of in the day of judgment. So when the day of judgment comes, all the righteous things and the wicked things you've done is going to be given, it's going to be accounted at. Okay? That's why you got to lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. So it says, your spiritual bank account, so to speak. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doeth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through or steal. Thieves can't break through and steal in the treasures that are stored in heaven. Okay? They can break through and steal treasures that you have on the earth, but not treasures you have in heaven. Verse 21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Right? Wherever your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Meaning whatever it is that you treasure, whatever it is that you look at as high a value, there will your heart be also. Meaning there will your mind be also. There will your mind be focused on. Your mind can be focused on whatever is the most valuable to you. So if this truth is what's most valuable to you, that's what your mind's going to be focused on. And that's an example of what? Storing your treasures in heaven. Now let's go back to the book of Proverbs 10 and 14. Proverbs chapter 10 verse 14, it says, wise men lay up knowledge. We're laying up knowledge. We're storing up knowledge. Why? So that we could teach people and bring souls to the kingdom of heaven. So that we could bear fruit, teach and bring souls to be delivered. Okay? From the destruction of America. Which America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. Wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. Right, wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. Right, the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. I got a scripture in my head. See if I can find it real quick. Right, the mouth of the fool layeth up destruction. It says, second, if I can find it real quick. Yeah. Ecclesiastes 10 and 12. It says, the words of wise men. I'll start a little bit up. This is Proverbs 10. Ecclesiastes 10. And I'll start from verse 11. Surely the serpent will bite without enchantment, and a babbler is no better. So a serpent will bite without enchantment. You don't have to enchant a serpent in order to get a serpent to strike you. And the babbler is no better. You don't have to say anything. Like when you enchant, when a person is enchanting a serpent, what that person is basically doing is what's the right word I want to look for? If a person is enchanting a serpent, they're getting a serpent in the mood to dance, in the mood to move. But just as a serpent can bite you without that enchantment, a babbler is no better. A person doesn't always have to rile up a babbler to get a babbler to run their mouth. A babbler would just speak because they're a babbler. They speak a lot. They always run in their mouth. They're always talking. So just as a serpent can bite without enchantment, just as a serpent can bite without being seduced to bite, a foolish person a babbler will run their mouth without being seduced to speak. Verse 12. The words, when I say seduce, I mean like to entice. Right? To allure, to attract. You don't have to attract the serpent in a certain way in order to get it to bite. It's that you don't gotta attract the babbler in a certain way in order to get the babbler to run your mouth to speak, to talk a lot. Verse 12. The words of the wise man's mouth are gracious, but the lips of the fool will swallow up himself. Right. The lips of a fool will swallow up himself. A fool's words will swallow up himself, man. A fool will get entangled up in their own speech. A fool will say things that's hypocritical towards their own selves. A fool will say things that will bring himself into destruction. That's why I said the lips of a fool is not destruction in Proverbs 10 and 14. Right? It says, the beginning of the words of his mouth is foolishness, and the end of his talk is mischievous madness. Right. The lips of his mouth is foolishness. He speaks foolishness, and the end of his talk is mischievous madness. That's why I told you that in Proverbs 10 chapter, in the 14th verse, it said, wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. Because the end of a fool's talk is mischievous madness, and the lips of a fool will swallow up himself. So just as Dathan, Korah, and Abiram, they were actually swallowed up in the earth because the lips of those fools caused them to speak up against Moses and Aaron. Their lips swallowed them themselves. So that I'm going to close. All you brothers learn something. Shalom.